January 26th, 2024. Live streaming from a distant galaxy. This is the world's most controversial podcast, the Doomsy McDoomscroller Show, a philosophical science fiction series featuring realistic futurology and refreshingly heretical commentary on the news. And as the title of this episode goes, civilized culture. Civilized. Let's just take that one word there. Civilized is just another word for warmongering, pyramid building, and pharaoh fostering. And there's two articles today. Two articles that make that really clear. Maybe I should sit down. I don't know if you're watching. If you aren't watching, I don't know. I'm on some planet somewhere, and before I get this web page up in my visor, I should probably set this ship down so I don't crash. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a long story how I got here. You can find my backstory on the show's website. Suffice to say, for the moment, that I'm just trying to get back to Earth, and that's hence the realistic futurology, because it might take me decades. And what's going to be there? By the time Doomsy gets back to Earth, I might be light centuries away. Well, for sure I am. I mean, my only hope is to travel faster than light. And maybe even get into the correct universe, because I seem to be jumping through the multiverse with this hyperspatial quantum entanglement engine kind of on the fritz. And I don't know when I'm going to make it back. But if you listen to the show, you know that I refer to you all, meaning East and West, 8 billion, all y'alls together. 8 billion in the stampede. The culture that used to be 4 billion. Used to be 4 billion when Doomsy was just, when Doomsy was just a little kid. Maybe around the time Doomsy was born. I don't know, half a century ago. There were 4 billion of you, now there's 8 billion. So I'm referring to y'all. And even though I grew up there, I grew up on Earth, obviously, I'm not part of civilized culture anymore. I've been away from you all for so long now. Yeah, not even in the Milky Way galaxy. And that's the crazy thing, is to get away from civilized culture, I had to leave the frickin' planet. I had to leave the planet. Because civilized culture is everywhere, forcing everyone to build pyramids, foster pharaohs, wage war versus Earth. It's everywhere. The only way I could escape it was to get off the planet. And now I'm in some strange galaxy now, I don't know where. And you might think Doomsy's just complaining, but hey, I'm just telling y'all what's coming. Because Generation Alpha, Generation Beta, why are they going to want any of your beep? I'll just beat myself there. Why would they want that? You think Generation Beta, Generation Alpha, you think they're really going to want the baton The baton you're going to try to hand to them? No way. No way. Look, there's no such thing as prophecies. There's just not. The probabilities, though, those are a thing. And I'm telling you, with a probability of 1, mathematically that means certainty. With a probability of 1, civilized culture is done. It's game over. It was canceled since the moment it began in the Fertile Crescent about a dozen thousand years ago. And it's currently collapsing under a pile of cancellation notices. That you just keep getting. So that's the good news, because humanity, believe it or not, your culture does not define the species. It just doesn't, all right? Humanity was around long before civilized culture. I mean, your culture only has got about a dozen thousand years going. Other human cultures, I don't know how long the cultures last, but other humans, and we're talking anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens, you people, you animals, your species, on the planet, 300,000 years. If you want to go like people, if you're talking just people, creatures, a couple million years. But your culture, dozen thousand years. And it's done. It's done. It's run its course. And you should be glad it's done, frankly. You should be glad it's over. Rejoice in the realization that you can't fix it. It's unfixable. Right? Just, you got to be like that, the insurance company that looks at the picture of the car, don't even send it to the shop. All right? The mechanic, there's no way. Just total the thing. Don't try to repair it. It costs way too much. Be impossible. Things like a crumpled ball of tinfoil now. How'd you even survive? Just leave it behind. Leave it behind. Just go. Because you can't fix it. It's irreparable. Civilized culture cannot save itself, and it cannot be saved. 30% of Earth's forests now are gone. Just gone. And even if you count a tree farm as a forest, you're still not keeping up. Just try planting. They're not growing fast enough. You're on your way to 50%, like by mid-century. 50% of forests gone. And around that time, more plastic than fish in the ocean. So why would Gen Beta want to take that baton from y'all? So when they start talking, and when Gen Z is complaining about work, listen. Partake in that conversation. Be open-minded. Because for 300,000 years, nobody ever feared losing a job. Ever. Just didn't. That wasn't a thing. Homelessness. Not a illness for society. It just wasn't. Sustainable lifestyles, diversity, in lifestyles across the globe. That's what you had for many, many more thousands of years, longer than the age of your culture. Okay, so let's look at 2 articles today. Let's have a look, have a listen. It was on the podcast, and I got to apologize on behalf of my producers. They're letting the videos lapse on the Twitch platform, and they are not all that fast with the uploads to Spotify. So if you think there's any missing episodes, you can find them on the other platforms. YouTube. What is it? YouTube.com/ @ and then Doomsy McDoomscroller. And same with Facebook. Facebook.com/ Doomsy McDoomscroller. You can just go to www.doomsymcdoomscroller.com. Alright, okay, that's enough of that. Here we go. Let's get this up on the visor here. Now, before I read this headline, before I put this up on the screen, let me just say that this is the epitome of civilized culture. I mean, this is just like this concentrated civilized. Civilized. It's just concentrated, almost like pure form. All in one headline. Here we go. Judge bars EPA from enforcing Civil Rights Act provision in Louisiana's Cancer Alley. Yeah. That's the headline. Do we need to read this article? I think we got all the information we need to from just the headline. At least as far as Doomsy's concerned. I mean, but what am I supposed to argue? Oh, this was a Trump judge. Yeah, it was a Trump judge. That guy, his administration put a ton of judges on the bench. Complete and total morons. People with like the 0 rating or a negative rating from, what is it? Is it called the ABA? American Bar Association or something? The big national group of lawyers who rank everybody, who rank their peers and everything. I think I don't know enough about that. But I do know that a bunch of just incompetent idiots, some idiot ideologies in these judges were all that mattered, not any other qualification. But that's not to blame. Are you gonna blame this? Are you gonna blame Trump and one of his moronic judges? Look at this headline. Judge bars EPA from enforcing Civil Rights Act provision in Louisiana's Cancer Alley. So, before Trump ever got into the White House and started appointing inept, corrupt judges, there were already corrupt judges, and there was already Cancer Alley. You already had Cancer Alley. And you have a Civil Rights Act, but that's not enforced. But even the fact that you need to have a Civil Rights Act, what does that say about your culture? Because it's yours. You live in it, just like Doomsday did. And it sucks. Couldn't get out. For a long time, wondered, what was wrong with me. I just didn't seem to fit in. Well, as it turns out, Doomsday, he got tired of blaming himself. And then it was pointed out to him how things got to be this way or that way. On Earth. So you have a Cancer Alley. And this kind of goes to what we were talking about yesterday with the narcissism and rage of your culture. Yeah, your culture has narcissism based on a delusion that your culture represents a species, and the narcissism is that no other species matters. They just don't matter. So look, even if you got the Civil Rights Act enforced here in Cancer Alley, that's good for the people, I guess, right? Or I guess short-term wise, but what about the cats and dogs, the birds and frogs and the fish? Every other creature that has to breathe that air, drink that water, step in the soil. I guess they don't matter, right? Cancer Alley, that's just, well, now you live in Cancer Alley, fellow Earthlings. There you go. You can't even take care of each other. I mean, that's just pathetic. This Civil Rights Act. Rights. These rights, these laws, these documents. You hope they make you feel cozy, nice and warm. You've got your rights. Constitution. So you got rights and you got lawyers. And even if you didn't have Trump judges or whatever, you still got Cancer Alley. And after 50 years of the Clean Water Act, what do you got there in the USA? 51% of lakes and rivers toxic, impaired is the technical word. It was done in the study. Yeah, 51% of river mileage and lake acres, according to the sample. They said, it's 50 years since the Clean Water Act. Why don't we see how we've been doing? And I guess because it was a NIMBY thing, and not in my backyard. I guess a couple rivers, some big cities, going right through the middle of the big cities, were just like sewers, just so filthy. But they got cleaned up. So now everything's just going swimmingly, I suppose. No, that's not true, because you can't swim in most of the lakes and rivers in the USA now. You can't swim. Unless you got great health insurance and you have time for doctor's visit. You can't even swim. So, of course, don't eat the fish. Don't drink the water. So, and Louisiana's got a cancer alley. Cancer alley. And I'm not picking on Louisiana or USA or any kind of legislation or regulations. I'm saying this is what civilized people do. It's no different in China, in Europe. Filth and sewage everywhere. This is your culture. Just like we talked about yesterday, narcissism and rage. Trump's uncontrollable narcissism and rage when he feels insulted. Just like Yahweh's. Just like the God of Abraham. Uncontrollable narcissism and rage when he feels insulted. No surprise you got a presidential candidate like that in America. The most popular character in the most popular religion, your most popular deity, is the biggest a-hole in literary history. Just got a track record of killing pregnant women and children. He does. Yahweh. Allah or God or Jesus, or whatever name you want to use for him. He's got a track record of killing women and children because of uncontrollable narcissism and rage. So that's your deity, that's your presidential candidate, that's your culture. Look at this narcissism. Cancer alley. What, you can hope that maybe enforce the Civil Rights Act, or I don't know, maybe people can move away from Cancer Alley? What about all the other critters? There's another article headline, which is very civilized, just concentrated civilized essence here. That's from today or yesterday, 25th. Elon Musk warns Tesla workers they'll be sleeping on the production line to build its new mass market EV. Elon Musk warns Tesla workers they'll be sleeping on the production line. I better fly straight. This is what I'm talking about. Why is Gen Alpha gonna want this? Gen Beta? Well, why would they want this? They're not even born yet. You think they're going to be looking forward to this when they are born, when their demographic starts? Well, I think next year, right? Gen Beta. You think they're going to be into this? Oh yeah, they just can't wait. So you got a neo-pharaoh here, one of the top neo-pharaohs, Musk. He's telling stone draggers they're going to have to drag heavier stones, more stones, heavier stones to build his pyramids. How is this a headline? I mean, is this is just how it goes for you pyramid builders, isn't it? I mean, Pharaoh wants something. Elon Musk. Oh, and that guy, because he's so messed up. Because he's so into the pyramid that he's on top of, or the pyramids that he's on top of. He's just feverishly working on his pyramids, right? So let's all follow Elon Musk's example. Please. This guy, who is this guy? He's proven that he's just nobody special. Born into money. Born into wealth. Whoop-de-doo, he's got a freaking engineering degree. Big whoop. He bought Tesla. He bought it. Like he bought Twitter. He's a loudmouth. And what's he got going for y'all? Him and Bezos, they want 1 trillion people, 1 trillion pyramid builders. They want more people dragging stones to build their pyramids. Orange Tesla workers. This is so civilized. It's new mass market EV. The EV, the electric vehicle. Got news for y'all. Electric vehicle ain't gonna save you. Ain't no documents. Ain't no technology. None of that. It's just, why would it help? Why would it help? Your culture is completely based on war. War versus Earth. It's about conquering a planet and feeding a God delusion. A delusion of grandeur. Where y'all think you're the greatest thing even before sliced bread. You're the entire purpose of the whole universe's existence. You think you're so superior. And you have these neo-pharaohs among you to kind of help you continue believing in that. Because when you're dragging stones, it's hard to feel like, you know, the god that your culture's mythology is continually whispering in your ear that you are. When you're not a god. You're not gods. Electric vehicles, no amount of technology is going to save you. Your culture's based on warmongering. Really, and if you're from America, this should be obvious. You think the genocide and slavery that happened just a few centuries ago in North America, you think that was a new idea by farmers? Actually, let's be accurate. Because not use the word farmers really all that much because typically it's equated with agriculture, and it's not. They're not the same thing. Farming is a very specific type of agriculture. Farming is holy war agriculture, where you just wage war on everything for the sake of harvest, for the sake of the production of food surpluses that then fuel your population growth. So the genocide and slavery that happened on North America, that wasn't anything new. That is how civilized culture has spread around the globe. Genocide and slavery is your culture's MO. It's how you do things. So why would any documents, laws, constitutions, any kind of technology, how is that going to slow down a growing stampede? When the stampede, it's almost like you do have a mission. The stampede that is civilized culture, its mission is to trample. It's to trample. So, trample things underfoot, under hoof. So, why should new documents, new judges, new technology, new vehicles, why should those do anything to hinder that trampling? It just aids in the war. So controversial. No, that, of course we're just kidding, right? The world's most controversial podcast. Look, I'm not even in the Milky Way galaxy right now. I don't think anyone's listening in the world. But I'll tell you, I don't know. Most controversial? Yeah, no, I don't think so. Controversial at the highest level. Because Doomsy dares to criticize the culture to which 8 billion people belong. Civilized is just a word. And what is a word? It's just a sound that represents object or an idea. I know there's a lot of connotations to it. I mean, it's the heaviest, most heavily connotated word there is. Did I phrase that right? But if you define civilized by your actual culture, by what your culture does, and that is what a culture is. A culture is what people do. So if you define it by your actual culture instead of your culture's mythology, then there's nothing great about civilized culture. In fact, it's actually kind of terrible. And it's a good thing that's ending soon. So when Gen Z's complaining about working full time, yeah, they should be. They should be complaining. Everyone should be complaining. They should also realize that it's not them. Like Musk, this neo-pharaoh, Musk. He's in the stampede too. He's caught in the stampede. Now, he's sitting real comfortable on some furniture. Got a great view. The altitude he has on the socioeconomic hierarchy. But that furniture is on the shoulders of the middle class, right? The people in the middle of the socioeconomic hierarchy. And those people are riding on the shoulders of all the peasants and commoners, people at the bottom of the socioeconomic hierarchy. In that same hierarchy, you get no matter what your ism is, communism, capitalism, socialism, all comes out the same ultimately. Those are just those words. So civilized is a word that represents your culture, and it's terrible if you look at it as representing your culture and not being defined by your culture's mythology, where you think civilized is what it means to be human, is some great thing that has some utopian promise to it. No, let's reject the mythological definition of civilized and go to the practical definition, like what your culture does, what your culture is what you people do as part of that culture. And then if you really want to define capitalism, socialism, communism, I mean, you'll never be able to, because there's always someone who's going to be, well, if it was real communism, it's always the no true Scotsman fallacy. When really capitalism, socialism, communism, Marxism, whatever ism, they're all just different words to describe details, the minutia, the little differences in how you describe the same methodology that you all have, the same method by which you maintain these socioeconomic hierarchies. And that maintenance method is this. You reward ruthlessness. Yeah, that's what your societies do. Civilized societies, you filter through your population to find the most greedy, the most ruthless, the most power-hungry people among you, and you elevate them. You reward such ruthlessness. So you can blame Elon Musk cracking a whip, but these pharaohs, they have the altitude on the hierarchies only because there's people at the bottom supporting that. So Doomsy's just saying that Gen Beta not going to be into that. All right? They're just not. Gen Z's already complaining. And it hurts them just when you say that they're lazy. Just because you did it, just because the stones you dragged were really, really heavy, and you dragged a lot of them, just because you did that, that doesn't mean younger generations should do that, or they should be happy about it, for one. I mean, geez Louise. Some things are not about tradition just because something happened to you. I've seen that way too much on social media. Well, the problem these days is, kids aren't beaten enough. I got beat. I got beaten for this and that. So what? You're a member of an older generation and you got beat as a child. So that means you should advocate for physical violence against the most vulnerable people in society. Bravo. Yeah, real nice. It doesn't make any sense. Now look, I'm telling you what's coming. I bounced through some parallel universes, different eras, different time periods. I've gotten a glimpse here and there. And I can tell you, Gen Beta wants none of this. They don't want it. They don't care. They do not care. They will not care. I should use future tense here, right? Let's see, that's Doomsy's problem. Space-time. Bouncing through the multiverse. But look, Gen Beta, they're not going to care how much you promise them a utopia. It's not going to matter how much you try to convince them that they have an equal chance to be a neo-pharaoh. Their opportunities. Look, they don't want to be a neo-pharaoh. They're not going to want that. It doesn't even make people happy. I mean, it can give you more security, for sure. Gain some altitude on the socioeconomic hierarchy. Yeah, you can feel better about life. You can, you know where you're going to be able to sleep next month. You know where your next meal is going to come from. You have all that stuff accumulated. But happiness, that still can be elusive to the pharaohs, to the neo-pharaohs. Everybody knows it. Y'all have got to know that, right? I mean, there's plenty of celebrities and rich folk who just seem kind of miserable. It's because they're in the stampede too. Waging war versus Earth, that takes its toll. You're constantly doing it. There's a mental stress there. You're constantly destroying the habitats for which your survival depends. And while you're doing that, you're building pyramids for a-holes. For elevated a-holes. And y'all are the ones who elevated them. Questions, comments, criticisms. Just click the buttons. Go to www.doomsymcdoomscroller.com.